Welcome to another episode of the Expansion of Consciousness. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, where we delve into the minds of some of the most transformative thinkers of our time. Today, we're thrilled to have Lucie with us, Potasnik. Lucie's a dynamic national speaker, coach, a serial entrepreneur who empowers individuals to transform their identities and achieve extraordinary success. With a profound background in quantum physics, and we love quantum physics on this show, Lucie challenges everyone from entrepreneurs to business professionals to dream big and to manifest their reality. She brings a unique blend of mind hacking tools and techniques that redefine personal awareness and control, pushing the boundaries of what it means to succeed mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. Today, Lucie will share how we can harness the power of our subconscious. And we've heard that a ton to not only envision, but also create the life and success we desire. Lucie, I want to welcome you to the show. And I cannot wait. Let me get her on right now. Hey there, Lucie. How are you today?
Hi, Jason. I am so excited and so grateful to be here joining you right now.
Good. I mean, it's fantastic to have you with us, and I am happy to have you here. I read your bio. I went through everything that I could find on you, and I'm like, okay, Lucie's deep. Okay, she she may be a coach and she's working with professionals, but she has a deep background, which I love because we all learn these very integral things that we use, these integral teachings that we use in life and we use in our profession. But then when we start to integrate it into our coaching profession, that's when it gets fun.
So fun.
Awesome. So can you kind of talk to us a little bit, just your background? And I know I read the bio, um, but you help so many people that feel stuck and feel defeated or depressed in their lives. Just talk to us about how you started to work in that space.
Well, it all started with like where do I start? I feel like we're just like Dr. Wayne Dyer says, we're not human beings on a spirit having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And I feel like talking about each one of our own, we all have our own unique paths and journeys, which are going to, if we're open to it, allow us to really grow and evolve and learn these spiritual lessons along the way. And I feel like so a little bit about me is that I grew up in just outside of Detroit, in the suburbs of Detroit, and I was a little girl with a big dream, and I was obsessed with horses. Just like Napoleon Hill says, if like the starting point of all achievement is a burning desire. And I can say with absolute certainty that it was born within me, this desire, this obsession of horses. Unfortunately for me, I had two blue collar parents. My mom had two factory jobs, and horses were 100% out of the realm of possibilities, or what it seemed that to be the case. And sure enough, I never gave up on my dreams. In fact, I would pray at night and I would say, "Dear God, please let me just dream that I'm riding a horse in my dreams," so that way it actually felt like I was doing it in real life. I can't tell you how many times, Jason, I would be dreaming that my left foot goes in the stirrup and I'm just kicking my right foot over. And then poof, I would wake up and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I was so close.
Right.
So I decided I had to take matters into my own hands. So the day that I turned 16 was the day that I got my driver's license. And the same day I created my Craigslist ad and said, I will ride your horse for free. And so what I learned from a very young age is if you can find what your talent or what your skill set is, if you can pursue your passion and exploit it in the service of others, you are going to find true fulfillment and unprecedented success and abundance. And if I can do it, you can absolutely do it. So to continue the story, I had all these yahoos calling me with their unbroke, green broke horses, basically wild horses that hadn't been touched or handled or ridden in 5 or 10 years. And I'm driving out all over God's country, just the happiest little thing, riding these people's horses. And next thing you know, I'm getting bucked off, thrown off, flipped over on everything you can imagine. And But I never gave up. It didn't matter how many times I hit the dirt, how many times I ate dirt. I was just the happiest thing to fall right back up in the saddle. And it was just that relentless drive, that unstoppable mindset of I am determined and I will not give up. I will relentlessly pursue my passion no matter what it takes. And it's one of those things where you fail forward. And the most successful people in life, why are they successful? Just because they've failed more times than the regular average Joe. And so I never had any professional instruction or education when it came to horses. The horses bucking me up taught me everything I know.
Mm.
And so after I ended up meeting a horse dealer who'd get in 50 horses a week. I had to ride everything and sell everything fast, quick, cheap, because if I didn't sell it fast enough, it was getting shipped to Canada to the slaughterhouses. So at that time, I was a 16-year-old kid on a mission to save all the horses of the world. So I had, and that was my first real step into the world of entrepreneurship.
Mm.
And when I was 18, I saw the movie The Secret, which like blew my mind. And I was so excited because it was such an empowering experience. Like, wow, my thoughts are powerful and I can to have anything I can dream of. And then after I graduated college, getting scooped up into the corporate world, leaving my corporate job, which was one of the scariest things I've ever done, to follow my dream and pursue my passion of horses, to go on to build and scale the 7-figure business where I now buy, train, and sell horses all over the country. And I accidentally opened one of Michigan's largest public trail riding companies just because I love trail riding and it's one of my favorite things and I wanted to share it with the world. So that's why I'm here as an example. If I can do it, you can do it. All of your listeners can do it. And that's why I am now obsessed with teaching quantum physics and how to leverage the laws of the universe. So that way you can very intentionally create the life of your dreams.
So you mentioned you watched The Secret when you were 18 years old. You watched it much earlier than I did, but The Secret was so profound in understanding metaphysics for me, understanding the law of attraction for me in particularly, and it really helped me um, understand that energy is all around us, and we can create anything we want. We can pull anything we want towards ourselves. It just takes focus, concentration, and we have to set our intentions. But my question to you is, why then are so many people feel stuck, defeated, and I mentioned earlier, depressed in their lives?
Yeah, well, it's a couple things. I would say the main thing is that we live in a world where there's so many distractions. Our phones, I mean, we get lost in a world of scrolling. You're on TikTok and you blink and like 3 hours of your life they're gone. And then you turn on the TV and then you see the news and the news is just fear-based, scarcity, lack, and you see these and then it stirs up the emotions in you and it's just like where your focus goes, your energy flows. And the thing is when people say, when people are feeling stuck, like we've all felt stuck, but what we need to realize is that we're stuck in a story. We're stuck in a pattern. If we take a step back to really analyze our life and look at the habits that we habitually do, whether it's morning routine or driving to work, once we get into our works, when we're leaving our works, we are creatures of habit by nature. And so our lives are just made up of one sequence of patterns after the next, after the next. And we're operating under these unconscious patterns that are running our lives. And so the key to this is to really becoming aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, of that internal dialogue, of the habits that aren't serving you, of the people that you're surrounding yourself with, of the conversations that you're choosing to partake in. And like even something as simple as complaining, like we don't even realize we're doing it, but it's built into us. And so we all have we're all conditioned by our past, our parents, what our parents believed, any sort of traumas that we've experienced. And because of this conditioning, we've developed patterns or stories. And so the beautiful thing that we can do is we can take back control of our life by becoming aware of the thoughts that we're thinking, the emotions that we're feeling, and the habits that don't serve us. So that way we can change them, because all change is preceded by awareness. And the second thing is decision. We are only one decision away from a completely different life. If I would have never taken a chance on myself and took that leap of faith to leave my cozy, comfy corporate job to sell horses, as crazy as it sounds, I would never be in the position where I would have never had the experiences and all of the beautiful people and circumstances that have flowed into my life. That would have never happened if I would have not decided to leave my corporate job. So I really like to share with people that you're only one decision away from a completely different life, and you can make that decision today.
Yes. It's alarming how common this feeling is. And, you answered basically my second question. I was going to ask you some of the initial steps that some people can take to begin shifting away from these negative states. And you've answered that superbly. But I want to know, how can one, so to speak, access peak emotional states? And when you think of it, why are they crucial for your personal growth?
Oh, such a good question. So, if you think about your life is based on the decisions that you've made. Like, you are where you are today based on every thought or decision that you've made up until this point. So, you can very confidently say that decision shapes your destiny. Well, therefore, what is the number one thing that's going to influence every single decision that you make? And it's your energy, your mindset, your emotional state. And so, therefore, we like to talk about, well, what is a peak state? What's a peak emotional state? And that's going to be a time, remember a time when you felt so alive, so passionate, when you felt unstoppable, when you felt like you could hurdle over any obstacle that was placed in your path. That is a peak emotional state. And you are going to make drastically different decisions when you're feeling elevated and alive and powerful and unstoppable versus when you're feeling, when you're operating in lower vibrational states, when you're operating in fear or lack, worry, doubt, guilt, shame. You're not going to be making the same decisions. So, therefore, I help people access these peak emotional states and maintain them. Because a lot of times I like to ask people, well, how many hours a day are you operating in a peak emotional state? How many hours a week? How many hours a month? And so many people, kind of like I had mentioned before, are conditioned that they've been allowing themselves to operate full of fear, full of worry, or full of overwhelm or frustration or anger, that's what they carry inside of them. And they've embodied these emotions for so many days, so many weeks, so many years. Now that's who there's those emotions are what are now familiar to them, and that's who they identify themselves as being. So therefore, we have to shift that identity, and in order to do that, we have to become, I guess, become aware of what we're feeling. A lot of people forget what feeling good feels like. So, to answer your original question, how do you access these peak emotional states? I give people a whole toolbox full of different techniques and strategies. But my number one favorite one is meditation, and I know that you talk about that a lot on your podcast. Just so that's meditation is just quieting your mind and allowing your vibration to rise. Because when you quiet your mind, you're really getting familiar with that internal dialogue, that little voice in your head that's always tearing us down, right? That's always telling us that we're not good enough, that we failed in the past, so why would we even try again? Or like, who are we? What are to think that we can? Or what are they going to think about us? It's like we're letting all of these like doubts and fears and worries creep in. But when you begin to meditate, you soon realize that you are not your thoughts. And what you think is not always true. And therefore, you're allowing yourself to become the observer of your thoughts. And once you become the observer, you are able to control them, to quiet them, and then to change them into a positive narrative, a narrative that's empowering and that's going to inspire you to take inspired action. And that's how we are going to fast track and take massive action towards our goals, is inspired action.
Yeah, that sounds transformative for sure. I do talk about meditation, and it's all about trying to figure out who you are, spending time with you, spending the quiet moments so that you can figure out everything you need to figure out from within. And that is very, very deep, very deep. So, well, how often should a person practice reaching these states to effectively impact their life?
Every day. So I think something as simple as a morning routine is going to change people's lives. I'm sure all of your listeners have like very robust morning routines.
Mm.
And it's incredible. Like when if you miss a morning, like it's funny. I I meditation, for example, is like my non-negotiable. As soon as my eyes open, boom, I'm meditating before I even get out of bed. But I don't know if you've ever been one of those days where your alarm doesn't go off and you sleep through it and you wake up and you're late and you're like, oh shoot, like I just need to like get dressed and get out the door and like I'll meditate later, I don't have time for that. Those are always the day, like, when you think that you don't have time to meditate, those are the times when you most need to meditate.
Yeah.
Because, and let me tell you, Jason, I've learned that the hard way. Every single time that I don't gift myself those 10 or 15 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes if I'm running late, but if I don't gift myself that beautiful time to really like go within and connect with divine source energy,
Mm.
oh, then when I do that, it's like when I do that, I step into this timeline of divine timing where everything works out and I move and I flow effortlessly through traffic and opportunities present themselves and I'm at the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, and things just work out. But when I don't do that because I'm late or I'm in a hurry or I don't make it a priority or I don't think it's an important, I always think it's important, but if for whatever reason I'm like, no, I just don't have time, it's so wild because those are the days where like, um, I'll forget my laptop. So I get to the meeting and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have my laptop for my presentation that I'm supposed to do. Or you hit traffic, or of course, like you hit the train and then you're stuck in waiting for like a 15-minute train, or who knows what. It's just like little things will happen that it's not setting you up for success, and it's not putting you in the path of least resistance when you're not intentionally doing the work to raise your vibration on a regular basis.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Lucie, once we learn to manage this emotional state, what's the next step in the formula for success?
Yeah, so we have a robust 16-week program that really helps people we give them tangible tools to be able to reprogram their subconscious mind and transform their identity so that way they can start taking massive action towards their dreams. There's three pillars. The first pillar is what we just talked about, and it's the energetics and understanding that we live in a vibrational reality where all things move and all things vibrate. And if you can control your state, then you can essentially control your world, because life happens, but it's 10% about what happens and 90% of how we respond to it. So that's why, as you know, our power lies within the now, with the dear precious moment, and how we choose to respond is going to essentially dictate how the following circumstances are going to unfold. So the first thing is energy, and then to answer your question, the second pillar is desire, because we have to know with absolute clarity what it is that we want. And so many people I think it's again because like news and society has everybody focusing on what they don't want, and people love talking about their problems and playing like victim mentality mode. And so a lot of times, like with my clients, I love asking them, like, if you could have life any way you wanted it, if you could have, be, do anything, what, and resources were of no issue, you had an abundance of resources at your disposal, what would you want your life to look like? And then it's so funny, Jason, because so many people immediately start listing out all of the things that they don't want. Like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And it's like people are so cued in and focused on what they don't want. It's like where your focus goes, your energy flows. And when you're constantly focused on what you don't want, you're unintentionally going to be attracting those things habitually into your life. So that's why I help people go through a very detailed vision extraction process. And the vision is so key in business and life. And we go through the 5 different realms of life, which is health and wellness, then relationships, which can be with a spouse, with a coworker, boss, parents, whatever it could be. And then finances, which could be career, side hustle, money, investments. 4th is lifestyle, because so many people forget to have fun. Life is meant to be lived and celebrated. And sometimes we get caught up in the hustle and the bustle and the grind. And if we're not intentional about how we want our life to look, it can easily be overlooked. So, and then the 5th one is spirituality. And I also couple growth and self-development in that, in spirituality as well, because I believe that we're meant to evolve and we're meant to grow. And as we grow and as we evolve, we are going to become closer to, we're gonna develop that connection with God or with source energy or the universe or whatever word you want to throw in there. But as we nurture that and lean into unshakable faith, unshakable faith is like so important. And when we lean into that and we believe in ourselves, it's almost like we flourish in every other realm of our life. So that's why it's so important to know exactly where you want to be. And when you have a vision and you're reading it every single day, or even once a week, what that's going to do is that's going to integrate it into your RAS, your reticular activating system.
Yes.
So what that means is, if you're, let's say, if I ask you how many red cars did you see on your drive home, you're gonna be like, well, I don't know. But if I ask you tomorrow how many red cars, you'd be like, oh, I counted them and I saw 26 red cars. Why? Because you were paying attention. It was in your RAS. Same thing if you buy a Tesla and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, there's Teslas everywhere. Why did I never notice them before? Because it wasn't in your RAS before. So same thing when you have a vision that you wrote out and you read, then all of a sudden you're embedding these ideas and these clear mental images into your subconscious mind, and you're stepping into the receiving mode. So that way you're open, when you're open to receive different ideas or opportunities, and you're actually able to see them when they present themselves to you.
Awesome. And let's just stay on the line of all these things that people want, that they tell you while you're working with them. So let's just narrow it down and be real clear between a want and a desire. And how does that understanding how does that help us?
Oh, okay. So that's so important, because wants are easy. Everybody, I can want this and I can want that and I can want we can have a lot of wants, but wants live in our conscious mind. Desires live in our subconscious mind. So what we need to do, and wants are easy because they don't require any effort. Where when we have a desire, when we have a burning desire, we become obsessed with it. And a desire requires effort. It requires action and it requires discipline. And therefore it's easy to have a conscious want and to say, oh, I want this and I want that. But the key in success is being able to convert that want and implanting it in your subconscious mind as a desire. You know that you've successfully converted a want into a desire by watching your behavior. Once your behavior has changed and you're starting to actually take action towards that desire, you know that it's now successfully been integrated in your subconscious mind.
And that's a compelling distinction that you mentioned. You know, people can use just from the way you explained it, they can use that type of understanding to basically prioritize their goals. So I find that very fascinating. So, but why is it important to have a vision for our life in our businesses?
Oh, it's because if you don't know, because if you don't know where you want to go, it's so easy to get thrown off course. Like I said earlier, we live in a land of distractions. And have you ever read the book? Uh, it's the one with by Napoleon Hill, and it's something with the devil. It's not conversations with. It's outwitting the devil.
Outwitting the
Oh,
devil. Let me write that down.
oh, it's so
I love to read.
fantastic. That book is really great because he talks about it's really interesting because like he's having a conversation back and forth with the devil, and while the devil like he's bad, he's also like very frank with the reader, and he's like, well, yeah, my whole purpose is to distract you and to cause you to drift, and this whole idea of drifting. And so what that means is that each person, we're all born with a purpose. We're all born with passion. And so it's our goal in life to really define what that is and move forward with definiteness of purpose and to stay so focused and so clear on that goal. So by accomplishing that goal, we're able to give back and to serve, to raise our vibration and the collective vibration of the consciousness at large. And so what essentially the book is saying is that the devil is constantly trying to distract us and cause us to drift and what drifting is essentially distracting us from reaching our potential, from following our dreams, from pursuing the goals that we want to achieve. And so that's why when we have a vision, a vision is going to be a clear mental picture, and we spend time every day visualizing that clear mental picture, and then we spend time emotionalizing it. When you take a desire and you start embodying the emotions of already having achieved it, already having received it, you're going to collapse timelines, and you're going to allow whatever that thing is, whether it's a person, experience, thing, you're going to allow it to flow effortlessly into your 3D reality. But the first thing you have to do is get the clear mental picture and then spend time visualizing and emotionalizing how it would feel to already have that thing. And that's why like it's so exciting for me to explain, oh, these are the steps that you have to take in intentionally creating your reality. And everybody can do it. We were all created in the likeness of God. We're all co-creators in this.
See, you're making me smile. Co-creators. Those are the buzzwords of my entire practice in coaching and quantum hypnosis. And when I use all these different modalities that I've learned in my coaching program, and vision, being able to visualize, Lucie, is the cornerstone to achieve any of this stuff. And I'm excited that you are definitely on point. Because people will say to you, well, how detailed? Well, I'm trying to visualize, but I'm trying my best, but how detailed do I need to be? You need to be very detailed in visualization. Uh, you
Yes.
know, you know what I mean? You need to be very detailed. What kind of car do you want? What color is it? What color are the seats? What kind of radio is in it? Envision yourself at the dealership, sitting in the car,
Yes.
driving the car home.
Yes, I 1,000% agree with you. And that's why it's so fun when you start playing with your imagination.
Mhm.
And I feel like imagination is one of those, it's one of the 7 human faculties that Bob Proctor talks about that is so underrated or underused. And it's like, we were blessed with the faculty of imagination, and we don't use it in the way that it was meant. Like today, everybody uses their imagination to think about every single thing that could go wrong, instead of really allowing their imagination to go wild with all of the things that could go right. I remember one time I was with I had an ex-boyfriend, and so like every month I'll write out I do intention setting. I'll do like my monthly intentions. And I remember at the end of my monthly intentions, I just had this idea. I'm like, I'm gonna write out everything that could go right, like just like a rant. And I remember it was just this wonderful list of just like, oh, I think I'd like to lose the 3 pounds, or I'd like to manifest an extra $500 this month, or I don't even remember what I wrote. But I remember, and because it was a couple years ago, but I remember, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm putting my order in with the universe. And he thought I was crazy. And he's like, why are you writing down all of this like random positive stuff? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is like the exciting part about creating. And this is what I've been doing for the past, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. And I'm so passionate about teaching it to other people because I've seen it just work miracles in my life that I can't explain it other than I call it the magic of the pen. And it's like you write it down, you write it down on paper, and you just you do the work. You do your gratitudes, you do your visualization, you do your meditation. And when you're actively raising your vibration and really becoming aware of like how you're responding in difficult situations as you move through the day, and you're not allowing external circumstances that you have no control over rattle or shake you, it's like when you start doing all of that work, the things that you're writing down on that paper, they just flow to you. I mean, we teach children in school, like, use your imagination, dream big. You can have anything, you can be anything, you can do anything you want. A firefighter, an astronaut, the president, you can do it all. But then it's like, as soon as we graduate, it's like you get a swift kick in the rear end, and it's like, okay, kid, go get a job, get in the real world, get real. This is reality. And I like to really challenge people on that and be like, reality is malleable. Reality is very subjective. It's pliable. It's suggestible. It's what you want to make it. And so that's why I really am very, very particular on who I choose to surround myself with, because some people like to talk about a lot of low vibrational things that don't serve them on a regular basis. And then they wonder why they're living in the circumstances they are.
Yeah, and a lot of things you just mentioned struck a chord. I have a book out, Empowered by Consciousness, and I write about the very same things you're talking about. And I like to liken exactly what you're saying to manifestation. And, I learned a lot of different manifestation techniques, and I put them in the book. Billy Carson has one of the all-time favorite techniques that I love using, and that's the water alchemy technique. And I had a book club a few years back, and we were using the book. The book was the 369 book, and
Project 369.
Project 369. So what we did was,
I love that book.
absolutely, we went an entire year, and that's unusual for a book club. But myself and 4 other people went an entire year, and we broke it up into quarters, and we manifested the first quarter, and people actually got what they wanted. The second quarter, we took one of the manifestation tools, and we said we're going to do the 333, the 555, and the 777 technique. And in the third quarter, we used the water alchemy technique. And then in the fourth quarter, we were writing subconscious mind. We were writing letters to our subconscious mind, sort of like you're writing everything that can go good that month. But we were writing 2 paragraphs to the subconscious mind. But we were writing these letters as if things have already happened. People were writing, about their business and how they love their candle business and what they made that month, and didn't even have the candle business yet. And one of the ladies in the group actually was able to start a candle business just from the subconscious mind, writing letters to the subconscious mind. So
Yeah.
I congratulate you. The forward thinking, the writing these powerful affirmations every month. And you're right. If your vibration is higher than the person that you're hanging with, you can notice it very, very quickly.
Yeah, energy is contagious, right? As
Yeah,
soon as you
absolutely.
get around somebody, whether you're on the other side of the country on a Zoom call or whether you're standing next to somebody in line, it's just like energy is contagious and you're like and you'll gravitate to them. And the funny, like the funny slash really cool thing is that when you're intentional about doing the work and investing the time and the focus and the energy into yourself, and you're being really deliberate about raising your vibration, operating in the energies or the frequencies that you wish to experience in joy, in freedom, in abundance, in bliss, then all of a sudden you'll notice that aggravated people, frustrated people, mean people, like they just don't show up. They just don't cross your path. They
Well,
don't have
you're vibrating higher than they are. It is hard for them to find you or for you to find them.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's like so the people that I find myself interacting with are the people that are on my vibe,
Yeah.
that are happy, that are free spirited, and we're like, hey, let's geek out and talk about meditation and energy and all the fun things.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
like attracts like, and so the same thing when you have somebody that feels stuck and they feel like sad or depressed or angry or whatever it is that they're experiencing. If you have someone that's like frustrated and overwhelmed, then a lot like they're going to keep finding things that are going to frustrate and overwhelm them because they're in a loop. It's like it's not until you make a conscious decision and draw a line in the sand and say, okay,
Mm.
from this moment forward, I am going to I'm going to choose like I've had it before where I'm feeling out of alignment and I can feel like something's just like not quite right. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a shower, and like as I'm taking a shower, I'm just like imagining like I'm like cleansing my energy. I'm washing away all of the doubt, the worry, the fear. And when I step out of the shower, it's a new day, it's a new segment, it's a new start. And it's like crazy how it's just like setting your intentions in such a seemingly easy way is very powerful and can shift everything in just a moment.
We're vibing so well because I was going to talk about setting your intentions in something I learned from my spiritual coach. I mean, we all have coaches. We're coaches that have coaches, but
You have
yeah,
to.
exactly. But setting your intentions is a huge, huge piece uh, of integrating these techniques into your coaching. So, Lucy, why is, okay, when you set your intentions, why is awareness key in taking back control of our lives?
Awareness is so important because we all have these unconscious patterns that
Mhm.
are running our lives, and we fall into patterns of focus because what we focus on we feel, and some people fall into patterns of focusing on the negative, focusing on the sad, like, oh, or patterns of focus of like poor me, victimhood, or oh no, look at the poverty, we need to like, yes, there's poverty, but if you're poor, you're not going to be able to help anybody come out of poverty by you being poor. We live in an abundant universe. So let's shift your focus a little bit and focus on something a little bit more empowering and how we can positively impact those around us. Because again, energy is contagious, and when we light up, even something as small as a smile, that can shift someone's whole day around. So patterns of focus are really important. Then there's patterns of physiology, how we're moving our body. Our mind and our body are intimately connected. Just like when you think a thought about a lemon, you're cutting the lemon juice is like splashing on your hands, you're smelling the lemon, you bite into the lemon. As you bite into the lemon, you're tasting the juice of the lemon. Now, next thing you know, just the thought of the lemon, you've actually triggered your saliva glands to start salivating just by a simple thought. So therefore, if a thought can cause a physiological response, the same goes backwards. So when we're moving our bodies, like if you have someone in a high vibrational state of excitement and joy, what does that person look like? Their shoulders are back, their chin is up, they're smiling, their tempo, their voice is you're speaking quicker, versus somebody who's depressed. Somebody who's depressed is going to be like slouched over, their shoulders are going to be down, their head's going to be down, they're going to be talking shallow or slow, their breathing's going to be shallow. So therefore, these are all physiological signs. Like our physiology is very intricately woven in to our energy. So therefore, if we can change our physiology, we can change our energy. So therefore, if we elevate our physiology, we can elevate our energy, we can raise our vibration. And so that's why that then you get into all sorts of like dance and movement and or music. Even just like if you're having a bad day, get yourself a playlist. So you put on a playlist, just whatever you want to call it, like happy day playlist. And so if you're having a down moment, you put okay, so I love Pandora, and I have this playlist, and it's called Bachelor Party or Bachelorette Party. It's in my Bachelorette Party playlist. And so anytime I'm like having, I don't know, like I'm just like not feeling it, or if I just want like an upper, if you will, I'll just go ahead, turn my Pandora on, put it on Bachelorette Party playlist, and then it's playing like all of my favorite songs that it just like it raises your vibration, it puts a smile on your face, and you start moving it. And when you start moving, it's going to instantly raise your vibration. And so that's why when you go to a Tony Robbins event, he really hits hard on like state is everything, energy is everything. And that's why the whole time you're dancing, you're jumping, you're playing full out. But and so that's why it's like he talks about how time is relative. You know, what seems to be 5 minutes, 5 minutes might seem like a really long time if you're doing push-ups, but 5 hours might go by really, really fast if you're you know, playing golf with friends. So time is a relative concept based on like on if you're bored, how much fun you're having, and how you're moving your body. So patterns of physiology are really important because we all fall into like how you wake up, how you're moving your body. Are you sitting down? What percentage of the day are you sitting? Are you walking? Are you outside in nature? Are you running? Are you dancing? Are you exercising? Are you horseback riding? That's like all of those things are going to play a huge factor in your mental health, your mental health and wellness, as well as your vibrational state. And then the third pattern is your pattern of language. And so it can be anything from like the words that you're using in a conversation, or as well as like, or surrounded by a group of people, the conversations that you're choosing to have, as well as the internal dialogue and that little voice in your head. What sort of language, like how are you talking to yourself? Are you speaking to yourself with loving, kind words of affirmation, adoration, and appreciation? Or are you constantly tearing yourself down? So many times we fall into these unconscious patterns. And so when we have awareness around what these patterns actually are, that empowers us to be able to recognize them and then replace them with patterns that do serve us and take us to the next level.
I mean, you've given everything for a person who's trying to, you know, be in this state, you know, in say, for instance, now they know what they want. And now you've given them the tools to bridge the gap from where they are to where they want to be. So you know, audience, listen to Lucie. Listen very closely because she's giving a master class right now on how to move yourself from one place to the next, and keep yourself in a pretty high vibrational state. But I want to ask you, Lucie, how can we step outside of our comfort zone and consciously expand our concept of self?
Oh, that is so good. Okay, I'm like, where do I start? Okay, so first of all, comfort zone. Like, let's think about this idea of a comfort zone. We
Mhm.
call it a comfort zone, but it should really be called a familiar zone. So so our mind is not wired to keep us happy or to keep us fulfilled. Our mind is wired to keep us safe and keep us alive. That means keeping us out of danger. So therefore, anything that seems scary or frightening or out of the realm of normal for us is going to be deemed a threat. And so therefore our mind doesn't want us to do the hard thing. It doesn't want us to, start the business or leave our corporate job to follow our passion, or it doesn't want us to do these things. So that's why you're never going to grow inside of your comfort zone. You are only going to be able to grow when you decide to very deliberately step outside of your comfort zone and challenge your thinking, challenge everything, every single thought that you've had, your belief system. I mean, at the end of the day, a belief is nothing more than a thought that you keep thinking. And so what does that mean? That means that we all have beliefs that don't serve us. Let's begin to question them, to challenge them, and then replace them with better thoughts, better beliefs. So with the comfort zone, again, like with it, this idea of it being something that's familiar, sometimes what's familiar to people is not comfortable. It can be pain, it can be suffering, it can be frustration. People can get used to feeling overwhelmed, or they can be in abusive relationships and it's just what's familiar to them, but they're too afraid, like they can't see that there's that we live in an abundant universe, just rich with an infinite supply, and that the universe, there's this quote, it's the universe abhors a void. And what that means is that unless you are willing to let something go that's not serving you, like as soon as you decide to release that thing, the universe will bring something and fill that void with something bigger and better than you could have ever imagined. But it's all about you having those standards for yourself, because you get in life what you tolerate. You don't get what you want, you get what you tolerate. So therefore, if you want better relationships, better careers, better communication, you're going to have to raise your standard and therefore not allow people to talk to you in like a degrading or mean way. And when you raise the bar on that, you're raising your standard, and therefore the universe is going to respond and once you let that go, it's going to replace it with something even better. So stepping outside of the comfort zone is really where all growth happens.
When you expand your concept of self, I mean, it sounds like a major leap, but it's not that big of a leap. You just have to, just understand where you want to be in life and how you want to be treated in life. And the way you want this person to interact with you. I think it's really, really profound, to say the least.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is that this was actually a concept that I didn't learn that I learned fairly recently. And it was this idea of you are never going to outperform your own concept of self. You're
Mhm.
never like we are where we are today based on every decision that we've ever made. And we have this idea of who we are, and it's like if we want different results, we're going to have to think different thoughts, make different decisions, and take different actions. But what does that mean? That means that we're essentially going to have to become a totally different person. That means that we're going to have to transform our identity. And so when we do that, it's like a makeover of who we thought that we were, which is essentially death of the ego, which is really scary for a lot of people, because it's like, how long have you been you? You've been you for how many years, how many decades? Like it served you very well to be you up until this point. But if you want to grow, if you want to experience this unprecedented success, an incredible reality, just the future of your dreams, you're going to have to start doing things a lot differently. And so there's this cool meditation that we lead people through, and it's closing your eyes and focusing on the highest version of yourself. Like if like the multi-million dollar version of you, the person that has everything that you wish to have, the person living your vision, the person living the lifestyle that you desire to have. What does that person look like? What does that person dress like? What does that person think like? What are that person's beliefs? And what things would you have to believe to essentially become that person. What habits would you have to leave behind that person doesn't do? And so it's really about challenging yourself to think like, okay, what does the next best version of myself look like, think like, act like? And in order to do that, like all change starts with ourselves. And so you just have to jump in and start becoming that. And once you start acting like that person now, you again are going to collapse timelines and you are going to you're going to very vividly create the outside reality by starting from within. It's all about living from the inside out instead of living from the outside in. So many people get distracted and they're observers of what they see, of their external reality, and they allow what is happening on the outside dictate how they're feeling on the inside. And if we know that our thoughts create our reality and we're constantly focused on our current situation, or we're constantly living in the past, we're constantly reminiscing on the past, that means like if you're going to live from a memory of the past instead of a vision of the future, you're going to constantly be creating the same old, same old. Therefore, we have to challenge ourselves to dream big and
Mhm.
and take a chance on ourselves. And that's why leaning into that unshakable faith is where that's where the good stuff happens.
I'm gonna try to squeeze one more question in. We're almost running out of time, but I have to address the comment you made, the death of the ego, human ego. And you've dropped so many nuggets in our conversation today, but I'm listening to every word you're saying, and it just immediately took me to a book called Be Here Now by Ram Dass. And the death of the human ego is so important, and I know that we don't have a lot of time to go into that one concept, but it means a whole lot in the grand scheme of things of what you're trying to, what you are conveying to the audience. But I want to move to my last question. I just want to know, in your opinion, what is mind hacking, and how can we rewire the subconscious mind for success? And this is something that's near and dear to my heart because that's one of the basic tools I use is rewiring the subconscious mind with quantum hypnosis. But what is mind hacking? And how can we rewire our subconscious mind for success, Lucie?
So we have, like I said, we have a whole toolbox of different strategies and techniques that we teach people. And we have a special gift for your audience that if they stay to the end, we'll go ahead and give away. Um, but your subconscious mind can essentially be uh, be altered or rewired by two things.
Mm,
The first thing is repetition, and the second thing is emotional impact. And a lot of times, emotional impact can be like a negative, like a car accident or something like that, or like somebody nearing like a death, or somebody, or like a bad doctor diagnosis when they are like, sorry, sir, you only have 6 months to live. Like that can cause that can rewire your subconscious really quickly. But if you don't have something like that, it's going to be repetition, 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 repetition. And so it's going to be everything from studying the material of the great authors, some of which that you've mentioned, Ram Dass, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Wayne Dyer, a
I
lot of
love
like,
Joe.
yeah, oh my God, Dr. Joe, wow. So all of those people, like reading their work, Neville Goddard, Napoleon Hill, all of these people that are teaching us the fundamentals on how to properly use our mind in an intentional way to craft a narrative that's serving us. And so another thing, another tool could, so again, getting your morning routine is going to be paramount in rewiring your subconscious mind, because once you control your morning, you control the rest of your day. And when you control your day, you control your week, you control your month, you control your year, you control your life. So whatever it's being intentional and setting up like, okay, you're going to wake up and you're going to meditate. Then you're going to do some sort of breath work and visualization. Okay, awesome. Then for me, like I love cold showers because it's mind over matter and it's discipline. My mind says go, boom, my body moves. My body doesn't create an excuse and say like, oh, well, it's kind of cold, though I don't really feel like it. Guess what? On the other side of I don't feel like it lies your greatness, lies your destiny. So push yourself past the I don't feel like it excuses and start doing it anyways. Do it afraid, do it scared, do it even when you don't want to. Just do it. Take the action. And then some of the things that like gratitude, like every night I write out my gratitude list. And then when I write out my gratitude list, I write out tomorrow's forecast, which is another form of intention setting. I'm writing down very deliberately the things that I'd like to create or attract into my life. And that's something else that we teach inside of the 16-week program, is how you're like very deliberately creating things or attracting them into tomorrow's experience. So gratitudes. Oh my gosh. So you have like affirmations and then you have incantations. So like affirmations, as you know, are like incredibly powerful.
Yes.
Even just in like journaling too. That's a whole, so many things, right?
It's a
Like
lot.
coming up.
It's a lot.
But like the difference, like the affirmations of like I am powerful, I am fearless, I am worthy, I am love, I am infinite, I am divine. Like when you start saying all of we start writing all these
I
things,
am.
yeah, it's so powerful. You literally like just 5 minutes of that, 10 minutes of that, and you walk away like a bolder, brighter, better person. But the incantations are when you couple that with the physiology, and then let's say you're walking or you're running, and then you're yelling it, and you're saying like, I am powerful, I am alive, I am healthy, I am worthy. And so it almost just elevates that affirmation to a whole nother level, because it's like every single cell of your body can really feel that energy. So a
Let's
little bit,
let's tell the audience how to contact you, because you have so much to share, and and we probably can't get it all squeezed in. I'm just gonna have to have you back, because there are about three or four more questions that I did not get to ask, because your knowledge is so deep, the depth of the explanation, and I am not gonna cut you off because people need to hear it. But let's talk about you, Lucie. Let's talk about what you have in your coaching packages, your website. How can people contact you?
yeah.
Offers that you may have. Let's just talk about some things that you can offer the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my whole mission right now, I believe that if you're blessed, be a blessing. So right now, I'm just trying to just positively impact and serve as many people around the globe as possible. And we have this 16-week program that allows people to reprogram their subconscious mind and transform their identities. And what we've done is we've actually condensed this into a 6-part series. So it's about a 2-hour training essentially, and it's going to give you tangible tools and step-by-step instructions on how you can start implementing some of these tools today and start really feeling the benefits of them immediately. So if you go to ultimatesuccessblueprint.com, we have this training that people can download. Now, this training normally sells for $1,000 on our website, but for your listeners, we have a promo code. So if you type in promo code expansion, you will actually be able to download this training completely for free. Um,
All
yeah.
right.
So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, if you would like to, I'd love to have, I'd love to invite everybody to join us on our social media community. You can find me on Instagram at Coach Lucie Lynn, or Facebook Lucie's Bubble, because like fiercely protect your bubble. I came up with that like a couple of years ago, but anyways, if you follow us on social media, we have a Transformation Nation is our Facebook group, and every single day we're putting content out on how we can serve people, how people can immediately start transforming their reality, whether it's through practices like intention setting or gratitude, or how to be more aware as you move through your day. And then the other cool thing is that every Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, I do a gratitude meditation. So I figured, if meditation for me, like I said, is a non-negotiable and I do it every single day, And I have so many people over the years that have asked me like, okay, well, I don't know how to meditate, or I don't know where to start, or like, is there like, what tools can you provide any resources? I just decided that Friday mornings I'm gonna go live inside of Transformation Nation, and I do a prayer of gratitude, or a rampage of appreciation, if you will. And it's really beautiful. It's like, maybe 15 minutes long, and the recordings are up there. So if people ever want to like save them and listen and go back, we just try to serve as many people as possible.
Wow. Lucie, wow. And the Lucie's social media links will be below in the show notes, so you can get all her social media handles so you guys can connect with her. But Lucie, I want to thank you for sharing your profound insights and actionable strategies with us today. I mean, your approach to transforming our subconscious and mastering our reality is truly revolutionary. And do you have any last words for the audience before we get out of here?
I guess my last words are believe in yourself, because belief is what bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You see, we can have a vision and with absolute clarity what we want, but if we don't believe that we're worthy or that we can, there's always going to be that vibrational discrepancy, and the thing that we most desire is going to always be just slightly out of reach. So therefore, I just want to encourage you that really to lean into the fact that you are the powerful, magnificent creator of your own reality. You can be, do, have anything that you dream of. All you have to do is simply believe that you are worthy and that you are capable.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you for sharing this with the audience of the expansion of consciousness. I'm going to move you to the back, but don't go anywhere. We need to finish talking. And plus, you need to hear me wrap up this show and say some more wonderful things about you. So hold on for a second, and we'll be right back to you. And thank you, too. Hold on one second. Okay, wow. She's awesome. Lucie is very knowledgeable. And for our listeners who are inspired to take a massive action towards your goals and redefining your success, I encourage you to connect with Lucie. Like I said, her information will be in the show notes. So you'll be able to connect and get her website and dive deeper into her techniques and explore her programs that offer not just hope, but a clear path to becoming the best version of yourselves. And remember, the journey to transformation begins with a single step, a step that you are capable of taking today. And don't forget to follow us, the Expansion of Consciousness, on our social media channels to catch every enlightening episode of Expansion of Consciousness, the podcast. Until the next time, keep expanding, keep dreaming, and keep creating your reality. Thank you, Lucie. And thank you to everybody who joined us today. Let's make the change we wish to see in ourselves and in the world. Thank you so much. And there are 3 words that I like to end with, and I think you guys know what it is: trust, relax, and discover. Thank you so much. Good night.